My ex-wife cheated with my teammate, the story of how I lost her and found myself again. Hey, true story. My name is Oso. Well, my real name isn't Oso, but that's what everyone has called me since high school. I'm a Mexican American, born and raised in Texas, and I earned that nickname because of my size and the way I played football. I was a big kid even as a freshman, already 6'3", pushing 250, and I had that bear-like presence on the field. One of my teammates yelled, "Man, you're like a bear out here," and it stuck. From that day forward, I wasn't just me, I was Oso. Even my mom started calling me that after games. Football was my whole life. It wasn't just a game. It was my identity, my purpose, my way out of the environment I grew up in. My parents didn't come from much, but they worked hard. My dad was in construction, swinging hammers in the brutal Texas heat, and my mom cleaned houses. They wanted something better for me and my siblings. Football felt like the ticket. Every hit, every block, every hour in the weight room, it was all aimed at that dream to one day play in the NFL. I won't lie, when I actually made it, it was the proudest moment of my life. I was drafted late round to the Indianapolis Colts. It wasn't some star-studded first-round pick, but it didn't matter. I had a shot. My whole family cried. My neighborhood celebrated. For that brief time, it felt like all the sacrifices were worth it. But the NFL is brutal, and I mean brutal in ways most people never understand. You're not guaranteed anything. You're only as valuable as your health, your performance, and how much money they've already invested in you. And me? I wasn't a first-string guy. I was a rookie with potential, sure, but when I blew out my knee in practice, that potential didn't matter much. Rehab takes time, and time is something teams don't give to players they haven't put millions into. Within months, I was released. Just like that, my NFL dream was gone. Now here's where my ex comes in. Back then, she was my girlfriend. We'd been together since college. I thought she was my ride or die. I thought she'd stick through the tough times with me. But the truth came out when I was at my lowest. When I was limping around, trying to figure out my future, trying not to fall into depression, she left. Her words still echo in my head. "It's just too hard to see you like this. You're not yourself anymore." I couldn't believe it. I was down, hurting, not just physically, but mentally. And instead of standing by me, she walked away. That was my first real heartbreak. Honestly, the knee injury hurt less than that. But here's the thing about me. I've always been stubborn. I wasn't about to sit around and feel sorry for myself forever. I rehabbed my knee. I started thinking about my degree. I'd studied construction management in college, always knowing football might not last forever. I decided to put it to use. I landed a job as an assistant construction manager at an architectural firm. Starting salary? $55,000. It wasn't glamorous, and it wasn't the NFL, but it was honest work. I threw myself into it the way I used to throw myself into football practice. I learned everything I could. I showed up early, stayed late, asked questions, did more than my job description. 4 years later, my supervisor left for another company, and I was promoted to construction manager. My salary doubled, $110,000 a year. For a kid from my background, that felt like hitting the lottery. But more than the money, it was the respect. I was proud of myself again. I wasn't Oso the football player anymore. I was Oso the builder. Now let me pause here and tell you something. Being 6'6" and built like a bear in a construction office makes you stand out. People notice you. And my coworkers, from the 24-year-old interns to the guys in their 60s, all respected me. I found a new kind of locker room in that office. Everyone had student loan debt, struggling to get by, and I was just grateful I'd gotten a full ride in college. No loans, just hard work and opportunity. And then, like clockwork, guess who came crawling back? Yep, my ex. The same woman who left me when I was injured and down bad. She came back crying, saying she regretted leaving, saying she hated herself for walking out when I needed her most. She swore she learned her lesson. She swore she realized she loved me more than anything. And like a fool, like a big soft bear of a man, I took her back. We dated again. Things seemed good. I convinced myself she had just been scared before. Eventually, we got married. I thought I was building something real, something solid finally. Now here's where the real betrayal comes in. I had a close friend from high school and college. We were brothers on the offensive line. We bled together, sweated together, fought for each other. He actually made it to the NFL too. Got drafted by the Cleveland Browns and played for 3 years. Even after football, we stayed close. I did side work for his construction company, helped him out whenever I could. I trusted this man. One random Wednesday, I came home early. I wasn't supposed to be home yet, but a meeting got canceled. I walked through my front door thinking I was just going to grab a snack and relax. But what I saw froze me in place. My wife was in our bedroom having sex with him. My so-called brother, my teammate, my friend. I can't even describe the rage that went through me. I stormed into that room and it turned into a full-on fight. Furniture was flying. We were smashing into walls and it felt like the house itself was going to come down. He was a big dude too, so it wasn't one-sided. We were two bulls locked in a cage. Eventually, I stopped. Not because I wasn't angry anymore, but because I realized it wasn't worth it. I looked at her, at the woman I had given a second chance to, at the woman I had married despite everything, and I knew it was over. I kicked her out right then and there. Told her we were getting a divorce. Now, the divorce process, that was a whole different battlefield. He tried to come after everything. My 401k, my savings, the house I had worked so hard for. It was frustrating, humiliating, exhausting. We went back and forth, lawyers draining my money, her making demands. In the end, I settled. I paid her out just to be done with it. And let me tell you, that hurt more than I expected. Not the money itself. I can make more money. What hurt was knowing that after all the work, after all the loyalty, after all the forgiveness, she still tried to take as much as she could on her way out. But you know what? I survived. I came out the other side. Today, I'm still working as a construction manager. I've rebuilt my life. I've moved on. Do I still think about the betrayal sometimes? Yeah. Do I still feel that sting when I think about my so-called friend? Absolutely. But I'm stronger for it. They both showed me who they really are, and I showed myself who I am. A bear. Oso. Someone who can take the hits and keep moving forward. If my story helps even one man out there realize that he's not alone, then it's worth sharing. Because betrayal is brutal, but it doesn't have to break you. Thanks for reading. Follow up from Also What I Didn't Share the First Time and My Advice for Other Men. Hey, True Story. This is Oso again. I didn't expect you to reply to me. There were things I didn't explain fully, lessons I've learned since then, and advice I wish somebody had given me before I went through everything I went through. I'm not writing this for pity. I'm not writing it to bash my ex or my so-called friend again. I've already made peace with what they did. I'm writing because I know there's some young man out there right now, maybe 20, 25 years old, in love with a girl he thinks will never betray him. Maybe he's ignoring red flags because he thinks love will conquer everything. Maybe he's sacrificing his own growth for someone who wouldn't do the same for him. If sharing my scars can keep one brother from walking into the fire blind, then it's worth me sitting down and typing all of this out. So, here's the rest of my story. The stuff I didn't talk about the first time, and the lessons I've carved into my soul because of it. Growing up. Oso. Before I dive into the advice, let me tell you a bit more about me. I said I was Mexican American, but I didn't explain what that meant in my house. My parents didn't play about respect. My father worked in construction his whole life. Concrete, roofing, framing, you name it. My mother worked cleaning houses, cooking for other families, and then came home and cooked for us. I saw what real sacrifice looked like before I even hit puberty. We didn't have much money. Sometimes the electricity got cut off. Sometimes we had to stretch rice and beans for days. But we had pride, we had love, and we had discipline. My dad used to tell me, "Mijo, your word is all you got. Don't ever break it." That stuck with me. It's why betrayal cut me so deep later in life. Football was my escape. It was where being a big, angry kid was an advantage. Coaches loved me. Teammates respected me. I wasn't the fastest. I wasn't the flashiest, but I was strong. I was dependable, and I could take punishment. That's how the nickname Oso stuck. I wasn't cuddly. I was the bear who cleared the path. That nickname gave me identity, and football gave me purpose. Everything I did was for that dream, to make it to the NFL and take care of my family. Losing football, losing myself. When I made it to the Colts, even as a late round pick, it was validation. My whole family celebrated. My mom cried in church and thanked God. My dad told every neighbor, every coworker, my son made it to the league. It wasn't just my dream, it was theirs too. And then it was gone. One bad step, one bad twist in practice, and I was done. That's the thing about football. Your career can end on a Wednesday afternoon in training camp. And if you're not a first rounder, nobody's giving you years to recover. They'll just bring in the next big kid from the draft. When I got cut, I didn't just lose a job. I lost my identity. I wasn't Oso the football player anymore. I was just a big dude with a busted knee and no plan. Depression hit me like a freight train. I'd wake up and just stare at the ceiling. The phone stopped ringing. Coaches, teammates, they move on. That's the business. And then right in the middle of all that, my girlfriend at the time, my future ex-wife, left. She told me she couldn't watch me like this. Imagine the person you think is your partner, your ride or die, walking out when you're at your lowest. That's when I should have learned my first lesson. When people show you who they are in hard times, believe them. But I didn't learn, not then. The comeback. I've always been stubborn. My mom says it's my greatest strength and my greatest weakness. I rehabbed my knee like my life depended on it. And when football was officially over, I turned to my degree. Construction management wasn't glamorous, but it was a way to rebuild my life. I started at $55,000 a year as an assistant. I worked like I was still on the field, first in, last out, always giving more than expected. 4 years later, I was making $110,000 as a construction manager. My coworkers respected me. Even the interns who were half my size looked up to me because I had a presence and because I treated everyone fairly. I'll never forget one of the older guys in the office, he was in his 60s, pulling me aside and saying, "Oso, you remind me why I still love working. You make it fun." That meant more than the paycheck. I wasn't a pro athlete anymore, but I had found a new kind of team. When she came back, and then she showed up again, crying, saying she regretted leaving, saying she hated herself for walking out when I was down. She said she realized she loved me and that she wanted to build a life with me. Now here's where I failed myself. I ignored the biggest red flag of all. She had already proven she couldn't handle me at my lowest, but I wanted so badly to believe in love, to believe in loyalty, that I gave her another chance. I convinced myself people make mistakes, that she had grown, that maybe this was redemption. We dated again, we got married, and for a while it seemed like it was working, until the day I walked in and found her in bed with my friend, my brother from the field. That betrayal still stings, not because I want her back, but because it came from two people I trusted most, my wife and my brother. That's like being stabbed in the front and the back at the same time. The divorce war. I mentioned the divorce in my first email, but let me paint a fuller picture. Divorce is war, but it's not fought with fists. It's fought with paperwork, lawyers, and patience. She came after everything. My 401k, my savings, the house. She claimed she deserved half of everything I'd worked for, even though she left me once and cheated on me. The system doesn't care about your feelings. The system just looks at the numbers. I fought, but at some point I realized the lawyers were making more money than either of us. I settled. I paid her out, not because she deserved it, but because peace was worth more than dragging it out. The aftermath. The months after divorce were some of the loneliest of my life. Nights were quiet, no laughter, no arguments, no nothing, just silence. I had to learn how to be by myself again. I started working out again, not for football, not to impress anyone, but because I needed to feel strong. I started journaling, writing out my thoughts. I spent more time with my parents and my siblings. Slowly, I rebuilt myself. Now I date casually, but I don't rush into anything. I value my peace too much to risk giving it away too soon. Advice for other men. Now here's the part I really want to share. The lessons. The advice. Pay attention to how people treat you when you're down. Anyone can love you when you're winning. The real test is how they act when you're broken. Don't ignore red flags. If someone leaves you once in your lowest moment, don't believe they'll be loyal the next time. Protect your finances. Get a prenup if you ever marry. Don't think it's unromantic. It's protection. Build your identity outside of women. Football was my whole identity, then my wife was. Both times I got crushed. What saved me was rediscovering myself. Choose friends wisely. Not every teammate, not every brother is truly your brother. Test people, set boundaries, heal before you love again. Don't jump into another relationship until you're whole. Otherwise, you'll just bleed on someone else. Closing thoughts. They called me Oso because I was a bear on the field. But I've realized being a bear isn't about size or strength. It's about resilience. It's about surviving winters, rebuilding when the world strips you bare, and standing tall no matter how many arrows you take. To any man reading this, you're stronger than you know. Don't let betrayal define you. Let it refine you. Thanks again for giving me a place to share.